YouTube. Hope you guys are all doing well today. It is a beautiful, sunny, very crisp day here today. It's 3 degrees outside right now. It is very chilly, and a polar bear plunge was not on the agenda for this morning. However, that's what transpired. The propane water heater did not kick in this morning, so I am quite invigorated this morning and ready to roll here. So you all see this? Is this not awesome? This was gifted to me this weekend. Thank you, Mr. Ken. I am like super excited about it. He got that to go along with my Jesus sneakers, so I am sporting them, but I am on a yoga ball right now, and I am not going to try swinging my leg up to my head to show you, because I'll end up on the floor. So we're a little out of order this week. We've had showings on our property, and I had quite a few days hijacked over the last several weeks. So I'm behind schedule. Good morning, Miss Shelley. I'm glad you're on here this morning. Good morning, good morning. So I'm behind schedule, but I have some really cool news for you guys. This was totally unexpected, totally not in the cards. It was not, you know, something that I was planning or preparing for or anything. But I now have a co-host. Miss Shelley says, I'm at work. My client is still sleeping. Well, I am glad you are joining. Thank you, sweet friend. I have a co-host for the podcast. So if you guys follow Mountain Woman Radio or Faith-Led Healing, I now have a co-host for both shows. The Mountain Boy, my son Austin, is my co-host. We recorded 2 podcasts. Was that yesterday or the day before? I think the day before. It's such a blur. Things are just really rapid fire right now for us. And it was absolutely so much fun. And he was totally on board. Like, he was the one that said we should do this all the time. So that's exactly what's going to happen. And I want to encourage you guys to be asking questions in the community, or for those of you following on YouTube and listening to the podcast, you can email me at podcast@faithledhealing.com or podcast@mountainwomanradio.com and share the questions that are on your heart, the things you want to learn, you know, what you're wanting to do in a homesteading setting, what kind of supplements you might be questioning or whatever. Or if you want to, you know something more about us, and this is where I want to really chime in. Next week's recording is going to be sharing Austin's testimony. Austin has overcome autism, and he wants to share his journey. Well, as he said in the podcast this week, I didn't ask. But he is willing to share his story and his journey with autism and overcoming it and our lifestyle and all that goes along with that, to be able to encourage and inspire and help others. And I will be chiming in. This is on the Faith-Led Healing podcast. I will be chiming in, sharing strategic protocols and plans that will assist people on the spectrum or with children on the spectrum. So we really want to be able to lend a hand there and be able to guide and direct, and also just inspire and encourage as always. I am just going to check. Actually, I can't. It's kind of weird. I'm not getting a connection with some folks on Zoom, and I am wondering if they're having problems getting in. It happens. It happens. So we had a really awesome question that we covered on the podcast this week. There we go. And I want to touch on it here today and really go deep. on this subject. And we're going to touch on another subject after Austin's interview, on another level of the same question. I love questions. Good morning, Miss Vicky. Good morning, sweet friend. Good morning. So the question that was given to us, let me see if I can actually get the actual question off of YouTube real quick. But paraphrasing it, why would we sell our homestead when we have a beautiful place? And we don't know what's ahead. And what was the ending part of it? The world continues to get crazier. And these are all facts. These are all absolute facts. And I love questions. And I am never offended by any question. So, bring your questions on, because this question excited me, because it gives me an opportunity to share my thoughts, my thinking, my perspective, and why we are selling our homestead. It is a beautiful place. It absolutely nurtures the soul. It is beautiful all day long, regardless of what weather we're dealing with. And I will say, even in the rain, I don't like the rain, the gray winter rain, but it's still beautiful. And that just keeps me in my beautiful home, where the other weather draws me out. So why sell when you have such a beautiful place? Why sell when, we don't know what's ahead? Why sell when the world's in such a crazy place? Okay, this is my perspective coming at you full bore, and I know Vicki knows my perspective, and many of you do as well. That's exactly why I'm embracing it, because I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. I may not be here. I almost wasn't a while ago. So that changes things for me. But my family thinks the same way I do. And in doing the podcast with Austin the other day, I really realized how connected we all are. And it's amazing. It's amazing. And we are embracers. My husband and I are embracers, but I'm learning that my son is joining us on that journey. He was always very reserved, but I'm contagious, I believe. And he's also experienced all of this. He's lived it out. So he's seeing how embracing things changes things. And I'm just going to put a little clue in here. For those of you that do not have big dreams and you're very content where you are, I'm going to talk and speak into that in 2 weeks after Austin's testimony, because there's nothing wrong with that either. And anytime I share my perspective, there is no shame to somebody who thinks differently. This is how I roll. This is my life. This is what I do. I'm not saying you have to do it, but the question was asked, so I'm answering it, and very joyfully, because I just love life. And our dream has always been to go to Alaska. When we embarked in 2010 on our journey to go off-grid, we would have gone to Alaska, hands down, snap of a finger, but we weren't sure if Austin would be able to handle such a big jump. So we went to a place where we still have access to the world. And granted, we will still have access to the world in Alaska as well. It'll just take a little bit more work, and it doesn't have to happen all the time. And we are secluded in a very quiet place. And that's what we're looking for. That's our desire. And when you have dreams, and I've been told I'm a visionary, I have big dreams. I have big desires, and sometimes those desires come out of nowhere. And like yesterday, like I told you, I didn't have it planned to have a co-host. That wasn't even a thought. And all of a sudden, Austin and I just started recording, and it'll be a constant. So good morning, Miss Carol. I'm so excited to see you. Love you, girl. Carol is from the UK. So Carol is one of our longtime followers who doesn't get connected on here all the time, but I am super excited that she is. It's her evening, just for David. I believe it's her evening. I know, I miss you too, sweet lady. I miss you too. So in regard to selling our home, and Miss Vicky on my Zoom here says, welcome, Carol. So, and I know she'll be welcoming you. You two will hit it off really well. I know that. She's a blast. She just makes you laugh. And Miss Shelley's in the house on YouTube also. So when you have dreams, we got to look at it this way. We were made for just a time as this. If you look back in time, even just the Great Depression, through the wars, and then we go back into, even biblical times, there was turmoil, there was chaos, there was stuff happening. If all those people back then wouldn't have had dreams and wouldn't have embraced anything, where do you think we'd be today? If Noah was like, yeah, right, I'm going to build an ark, and do you see how crazy it is here? You're going to expect me to build an ark now? I mean, think about that. Where would where would the world be if people that had visions and dreams didn't embrace them? We wouldn't have a toothpick. I mean, it's something so simple, but think about it. If they had that dream and they didn't embrace it because, finances were hard, they couldn't patent their toothpick, they couldn't, think about that. How funny is that? I wonder if it ever was patented. This is how my mind works. Anyway, just think about those things. Think about the car. Think about all those things. I'm not worried about what, I don't even think about. I'm aware, I do think about it, but I don't put a whole lot of, I don't allow it to put much weight on me as to the things that are happening in our world. I can't control them. I can only live my life. And my life's desire is to go to Alaska. So regardless what things look like, and we did wait. We've waited a while, and every time we waited, we're like, what are we doing? This is like the perfect opportunity regardless. And if we don't go now, we won't go. And if we wait too long, we'll be too old to really be able to embrace this thing and do the things we want to do. If we set it up right now and we set it up in a way that we can age with it, we can, I'm telling you this right now. We get to Alaska, they're going to be planting petunias on my boots because my boots are going to be sticking up. I ain't taking them off. I want to die out there. Like, this is our forever home. So the point of the conversation is, if you do have big dreams, don't let anything else that's happening in the world or people or your fears keep you from embracing your dreams. You will so regret it. And I don't want to be the one to get to the end of my life and be like, I wish I would have, could have, should have. I don't want to do that. There is a lot of chitter chatter going on the Trayer Wilderness channel, so I'm going to try to get there and see what's going on. Because I can't see it. It's flipping, and then I'm looking up here, and you guys are seeing my nose hairs and everything else. So, all right, hang on, because it's going to probably... What's going on? Yep, repeat me. Okay, wow, yes. Yes, well, it's not sold yet, Carol. When we were building, Miss Carol said that she would like to come from the UK and live in our bathhouse. She could sleep in the bathtub. So it isn't sold yet. We've shown it quite a few times, and everybody that's seen it is very, very interested. So we are awaiting offers, and we shall see what happens. It's in God's hands, so I'm not losing sleep over any of this. I'm not worrying about any of this. It's going to happen when it happens. If it is for us to go there, and it's looking like it is, because God is beginning to open doors rapidly here. So, as I said, my feet are dangling. I'm hanging onto his robe hem, and that's exactly what it's going to look like. And let me tell you, if this sells, you're going to really see my feet flailing, because then I got to start packing. Woo! I'm gonna give you all an invitation to come join me. You can even go home with things, because I'm not taking everything. Okay, so they are just chatting back and forth. Miss Shelley says, I believe the bathhouse has become a bathroom attached to their house. Well, actually, the bathhouse is going to become my weight room. so that I can get my weight bench out of my container and start lifting again, because I absolutely love to do that, and I need to rebuild my strength so I can pull my weight in Alaska. The stuff in the bathhouse is coming into my home. I got to do a polar bear plunge this morning in the 4-degree temperatures. Although the bathhouse was like smoking hot, the shower curtain felt like it was going to melt. So it was hot in there. And I had to open the door after I was dressed to get some fresh air in there. But the water coming out of the spigot was ice cold because the heater would not kick in. So it was quite chilly. I did have an ice cream headache, and I wasn't eating ice cream. There's a crime in that somewhere. So yes, we are. So are we going to have videos again for the new property? Oh yes. And this time we'll even, Lord willing, have a drone that we can just show you the beautiful landscape where we are going. Yes, we will be. There is a cabin on the property. It will require, and there is a bunkhouse, which is where Austin will be living when we first get out there. And we will be building Austin a cabin, a guest cabin, and a shop. So there'll be lots of footage and lots of stuff going on, and you guys are going to be sitting on my porch all the time with me. You are going to be, my breathwork sessions will be done from a kayak in the lake so that you guys can listen to all the natural sounds. It's going to be amazing. I'm very excited. And, I'm praising Papa. This is his baby. This has been put at his feet. And quite honestly, this is something else you got to consider when you are embarking on a big dream. We are not doing this alone. Absolutely everything that we do starts with God. Good morning, Miss Laura. I'm sorry. We go to Papa and ask for his blessing on things, for his will to be done. We do not want to be doing things that are out of his will. So we praise him now. We praise him on the other side if this does not unravel for us, because that means that it's not part of his plan for us. And we will continue to move forward and not skip a beat, not be upset, not be rocking in a corner. I mean, we would have earlier in our lives, devastation, expectation, disappointment, but those words aren't part of our vocabulary anymore. After my healing journey, things really changed for us. The guys, I'm learning more and more on how that affected them. You'll hear that in the podcast for this week that we recorded. And I know you'll hear that more and more now that Austin is joining me as a co-host, because we talk, you hear me talking about all kinds of things in our past, and now you have somebody joining me on the podcast that can, validate all this crazy stuff I share with you, and that this really is me. This is how I roll. I really do enjoy life, and I don't want to miss opportunities, but I also do not want to be walking out of God's will. So it is extremely important. And from the very beginning of this whole thing, we prayed. We prayed before we reached out to the realtor in Alaska. We prayed before we put an offer in. And we continue to pray for wisdom, knowledge, direction, and discernment. We want to be wise. If you look at Proverbs 13, I think it is, that goes through the entire thing of wisdom. 12 and 13, I believe it is. And it's important that we're in a line with him. That's like our heart's desire. We know what it's like to be walking on our own and chasing things that are ours and not giving him much of a concern. It doesn't always go so well. And if it does go well, you just keep getting further and further away from him. Regardless, you keep getting further and further away from him because you're not walking in his will. This is his baby. This is his property here. My property in Alaska will be his property. I'm just caretaking it. And I am doing my utmost best to honor him here and there in everything we do. So when we have dreams, we can't be worrying about what other people think. We wouldn't be here if we were worried about what other people think. My mom was totally dead against us going out here. My dad, on the other hand, was like super excited. And I'm my dad's girl. And I am an embracer, and I've learned early in life that if God is opening doors and leading me in a particular direction, there's a reason for it. And he's nudged me, but it's like he was taking my hand. Like, it's just really cool when I look back on my life. I've done a lot of neat things, and it's because I'm not afraid. It's because I'm not, and don't get me wrong, earlier in life, my heart would palpitate. I'd get excited. But it's really weird now. I just roll, and I don't even know how to explain it. As you can see, I'm at a loss for words. That doesn't happen much. And a funny story, I'm going to just divert for just a second. Austin and I went to lunch and to a movie on Saturday, and it just so happened that Mr. Ken in our community was in the area, so we invited him to join us. The mountain man's not into movies and things like that, so it's something that Austin and I do. Actually, he loves movies. He just doesn't like being in a theater, confined. And I don't blame him. So I don't really like it either. That's why we sit at the very back of the theater. I'm really squirreling. Okay, so at lunch, the waitress talked 3 times, 4 times faster than I do. I was like flabbergasted. I just stood there, I think, with my mouth hanging open. And Mr. Ken said after she took a breath, which I didn't think she was going to do. I was going to invite her to breath work, but there's absolutely no need. He says, "Would you like some caffeine?" It was so funny. It was so funny. But my gosh, I've never met anybody. My husband needed to see that because I don't got anything on her. Oh my goodness, that was funny. So, and it is hard. I got to cover all this stuff in an hour, so it's like, so anyway, embrace your dreams. Vicki says, we are stewards of what God's given us. Absolutely. Our money, our time, our everything, our homes, our vehicles. And it's just, I don't ever want to leave anything on the table. I don't ever want to leave any stones unturned. If Papa is calling me to something, I'm going to embrace it. And let me tell you, my family has embarked on quite a few journeys since we're here and have followed where Papa was taking us, where it was uncomfortable, where it was like, are you kidding me? Okay, I just had a call come in, and now I lost volume, and there we go. I got it back. I figured out how to do it. Now, it's probably going to come in again. Anyway, and we've had people scratching their heads while we are doing what Papa is calling us to do. And it was absolutely the wildest thing I've ever experienced because it did feel weird. It was like so off the wall what he was asking us to do. But we knew it was him. Undeniably, we knew it was him, and we did it, and I have never stopped since. When he calls me to something, I go. When we pray to him and he blesses us with the desires of our heart and he opens the doors, we don't hesitate. We roll, and we jump, because especially something like this has been a life dream when he opens those doors, because right now, if the door's open to go to Alaska, it's a complete 1,000% given that it was him, because there is absolutely no way we could do this on our own. Absolutely none. Absolutely none. So, all right, Shelley, love you, girl. So, we embrace because it's put on our hearts. We embrace because it's our desires of our hearts. But we also, as I've shared so often, that expectation and disappointment are off the table for us. They aren't even things that we don't anticipate. If he's going to open the doors, we celebrate. We don't sit there waiting for, and moaning and crying and in despair. We're adding an addition on our house, and we're getting this to our liking while we're waiting. And I'm schooling. I'm taking 3 classes right now. It's insanity, but it's amazing. But that's why I'm behind schedule. So, show me mercy and grace right now, because it's going to be an interesting next couple months, I believe. But embrace your dreams. If you have dreams on your heart, embrace them. When is the best time to embrace your dreams? Now. Do you know what tomorrow's going to bring? No, neither do I. So, and when you wait and you keep pushing things off, you end up in a place of I would have, could have, should have. I want to read some things to you guys. I believe they go along with this. They really resonated with me. So God wants to move us from bracing for impact into a lifestyle of anticipating His goodness. Let that sink in. How many of you are waiting for impact? How many of you are afraid that the world's going to fall apart, that we're going to be short toilet paper again? Actually, it's eggs right now, but eggs, toilet paper. Are you waiting for impact? Are you afraid? Or are you anticipating His goodness? I'm anticipating His goodness wholeheartedly, 100%. And that is what enables me to live out of this space. They were referred to as pink shady glasses, but now I just refer to them, I'm going to start referring to them as Papa lenses. Because we need to embrace life through reliable lenses. If you are looking at the world and allowing the world to cause fear and disappointment and depression, you need to change your lenses. You need to put your Papa lenses on. I like that so much better. So much better. Becky says we used to roll houses with those 2 things, eggs and toilet paper roll. Right? Right? I love that. Ooh, an inner side. I like it. Oh, that's funny. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So anticipate goodness. Don't be sitting there waiting for impact. So much of the world is waiting for impact right now. There's so much happening that we can't control politically, crazily, and I want you to think of the people during the Great Depression. There were a lot of people that really, really struggled in the Great Depression. And then there were people that saw, and this is true in any situation, through any situation, even the most chaotic you could possibly imagine, there are still opportunities. And there were people during the Depression that saw opportunities, and they thrived, and they brought our country forward. And the same is true for all of us. We are no exception. No moment is an exception from any other. We have opportunities all around us. I see opportunities. I see goodness. I don't see anything else. I don't see anything else. So it's a choice, but it's also an action. We can choose to be active and choose to make things happen when most people wouldn't. And like I said, in 2 weeks from now, we're going to talk about those of you that that you're content, you're happy, and you don't really have dreams and desires, and that's okay. It's okay. And I want to touch on that because I know people like that. And not everybody's like me. Not everybody, we are all peculiar. And we need to stay that way. I don't want people, trying to mimic me. I want you chasing the desires of your heart. I want you aligning with Papa to find out what best works for you and your family and your life. I don't want you mimicking me. I'm just sharing what works for me. I'm sharing my fire. It feels like fire. Or water coming out of a fire hose. I'm not sure which, but maybe a little of both. But I'm sharing that with you I want to see everybody living their best life. I want to see everybody joyful. That was one of the reasons Mr. Ken got me this hat. Because I shared with you guys that joy is Jesus, ourselves, and y'all. And he saw this and was like, and along with my Jesus sneakers, y'all need Jesus. You do. You need Jesus. Jesus is the beginning of everything. He's the foundation of it all. And he is where we need to be pulling into. You don't need to be pulling into me or worshiping me or following me. You need to be pulling into him. I'm just sharing. And I'm hopefully guiding you to him. Oh, Mr. Keith is in the house. Good morning, Mr. Keith. So John 14:27 says, may the Lord silence every negative voice in your mind, bring peace to your heart, be your strength in every struggle and challenge, and comfort you on all sides. And of course, that is not exactly John 14:27, but that is a really good, I'm going to read John 14:27. And then I'm going to reread that because that's where so many people are staying right now. And that is not a good place to stay. Fear is not a good place to stay. You know how you have toxins in your body and they eventually cause dis-ease? Well, your negative stinking thinking and your fear is going to cause you great struggles as well. It was 14:27. Yes. I am leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and heart, and the peace I give is a gift the world cannot give. So don't be troubled or afraid. Do you know that it says fear not and do not be afraid in the Bible 365 times? That's one for each day. We are not supposed to be fearful beings. We are supposed to be peculiar, chasing him, chasing the world, or chasing him, chasing life, and being joyful. We are to be joyful. If you're not joyful, I ask you this, what are you focusing on? What are you focusing on? It does matter. So may the Lord silence every negative voice. If you are hearing negative voices, you know, the enemy is just wanting to keep you where you're at. Don't listen. Kick him to the curb. So may the Lord silence every negative voice in your mind. Bring peace to your heart. Be your strength in every struggle and challenge and comfort you on all sides. So I want to say something to Keith. This just popped in my mind. Mr. Keith, you mentioned about Alaska, and you mentioned about the mold and a couple different things. And Papa is lining it up. We are like so blessed. The place we found, the place that Papa guided us to, is a new build by people that live life like we do. The man is a fabricator and welder and MacGyver, just like Glenn. And they built a beautiful, beautiful, it's not big, but it's beautiful and it's very well built, new construction. And so I don't have to worry about going to a place where I'm going to have to sleep in a tent outside because of mold. And it is in a beautiful part of Alaska, and I really feel like this is where we are supposed to be. So we will find out. But I wanted to share that with you. That was a great concern because we know that. That's kind of the scenario here as well. And being in construction for, you know, ourselves for 12 years, we see a lot of mold and nastiness in a lot of the homes that we had been repairing. So it was a grave concern, but it is not one we need to worry about. So here's another one for you guys. A bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because her trust is not in the branch, but in her own wings. Always believe in yourself. You know, a lot of times people don't embrace their dreams because they don't believe in themselves. They don't feel they are capable. They may have been told they aren't capable too many times and they've grown to believe it. Our worth is not based on other people. Our worth is based on what Papa says. And he says that we are beautifully and wonderfully and courageously made. and He has a plan for us, and He knows the desires of our hearts. So if He feels all that about us, why shouldn't we feel those same things about ourselves? We need to get to a place of courageous self-worth. And I'm there. I wasn't always. I had the world's worst self-esteem when I met the mountain man. I was in a very, very, very low place when I met the mountain man. And I still viewed life the same way, but I'd been kicked and punched and thrown to the curb. And it's easy to believe the things that others say. It's easy to believe the enemy. But as I just read to you guys, may the Lord silence every negative voice. All we have to do is ask Him. And we need to be diligent in creating the habit of when we hear those negative voices to kick them to the curb. I see this as a lot of the reasons why people don't embrace their dreams. Fear, low self-worth, and the inability to see that they are capable of embracing their dreams, and then allowing other people's voices to speak into that. So Deuteronomy 31:6. Do not fear the road ahead, for God walks with you. His hand will guide you, and His grace will sustain you through every trial. So that's where we are. I've been through so many different events, and so has the mountain man, and so has the mountain boy, his own and then ours. And it builds character, but it also builds a place of great strength and a place where you live out of faith and not fear. The mountain boy shared yesterday or the other day when we recorded the podcast that he was very afraid that I would not return from Georgia when I went for my surgery. And, that changed him too, to a place of living out of faith and not fear. I want to teach you guys how to do that so that you don't have to go through life-altering things to get to that place. Because he didn't go through a life-altering thing himself, though he experienced mine. So in our conversation, we established that you don't have to go through that. And he shared that it was through habit and also trusting God that he was able to grow to a place to work out of faith and not fear. His favorite Bible verse is, with God, all things are possible. Matthew 16:29 or 29:16. I'm not sure. If you search for the Bible verse, you'll find the reference, and it's in there a bunch of times. It's not just in Matthew. Because with God, all things are possible. And that's the verse that he planted his feet in. And that is also part of why he overcame autism. My leading, but his strength. So you don't have to go through life-altering things to embrace faith over fear. You just need to choose and to be consciously aware of where you're working out of. Are you working out of fear? Are you working out of faith? Are you trusting Papa to heal you? Are you trusting Papa to protect you? Those are things to think about. There you are. It's good to see your smiling face, Miss Laura. Good morning. So here's another one. We forget that waking up each day is the first thing we should be grateful for. We worry about so many things. We don't embrace our dreams out of fear, and we aren't even, acknowledging the gratitude for the things that are happening in our lives. We all woke up today. That is a blessing. We're not promised tomorrow. That's a tremendous blessing. I might hear from the realtor today. That would be something that I would be very grateful for. But I'm not waiting on it. Okay? If it happens, it happens. So that's another thing. Oftentimes we're waiting on everything to perfectly align. Do you know the odds of that? It's not very good. And I don't wait on that. No more. I used to. Well, I can't do this until all of this is perfectly in a line, or you have everything to the exact penny before you can move forward. I don't do that anymore. I trust Papa to provide. If it is in His will that He wants us there, He will open the doors. He will provide for all the needs. He will make it all happen. That's what He does. And if you don't realize that, you need to step into that place. So, let me go back in here. Mr. Keith says, that's great to know, as I see many homesteads with many different good and bad points. So glad you're getting a good one. Will you run a trap line? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. And we're very excited about that too. Yes, we will be exploring. We will be running a trap line. We will be doing everything we can out there. It's going to be amazing, and everything we do, we will be sharing. So I'm looking forward to kayaking in the lake and canoeing in the river. So and wearing my boots out on the mountains. So yes, definitely. And there's pressure everywhere. We have great pressure here as far as trapping, but we're gonna do what we can where we can, and that's all we can do, right? Is do the best we can where we're at with what we've got. And that's what I want to encourage you guys to do. Don't wait. Don't live out of fear. If you have dreams, embrace them. And Jason's question on the podcast, was a genuine and beautiful question. And like I said, I loved it. There were so many pieces that I could touch on, and I've been touching on them today. And the world is crazy, but it's always been crazy. It's a little more, I guess, in our face. At least maybe that's what it feels like to us. But if you really look back, imagine how in their faces it was when they were living in cobblestone homes and wearing sandals to get around. And think about that. Think about all. So it's not any. It's not. How does my husband always say it? It's the same but different. How's that? It's the same but different. And that's exactly what it is. If you look back in time, there were people that enjoyed life despite the chaos. I want to see you guys enjoying life despite the chaos. We are not defined by the world. We are not defined by what the world dictates. We are not defined by the chaos. We are not defined by our own fears. He defines us. And if you have dreams and desires, become a dream chaser. It's going to take stepping out of your comfort zone. I promise you, that is like the coolest thing ever. It might be scary at first, but once you start doing it on a regular basis, it's like, it's no sweat. It's no sweat. It's actually fun. I love opportunities to jump out of my comfort zone. I truly, truly do. And because it's just invigorating, and I like embracing life in that regard. I'm not saying you all have to. We all have different personalities. We all have different makeups, but we can embrace our dreams. And here's something else to think about. When you embrace your dreams and you embrace life fearlessly, you are teaching your children and your grandchildren to do the same thing. You are building up the next generation of warriors, courageous individuals, visionaries. Think about that. And it was really neat. You guys will see, and I would love your feedback on the podcasts, because like I said, this will be an ongoing thing where Austin is my co-host. And I would love your feedback, because there was some squirrel trails or bunny trails and some squirreling going on and lots of laughter. but I think you're going to get a really good look at not only my encouragement to you all these years, but you'll see how it trickled down. And that was what I saw while we were recording the other day. And it was just really, really cool. Really cool. Yes, exactly. Raising up little dreamers. And, you know, when we're young, we dream. When we're young, we see through different lenses. And, you know, growing up, I was told that I lived through pink shady glasses because I'm sure I had ideas. And they were probably really out there. But the ideas I get, I make a reality. and I did. And I'm grateful that, like I said over these last couple of weeks, I'm grateful that I was willing and able through Papa, I know it was him just taking my hand, to not hear those negative voices and to just keep going, because I would have missed out on all of this. And that is a true testament to the fact that I don't want to miss out on what's ahead either. So, and I was watching a thing this morning on Instagram when I quickly went on to gather something, and it showed a 93-year-old man with his arms against two metal posts, and he was exercising, just holding himself in place there. He was 93. Very fit man. And then the other woman they showed, I think they said she was 73. I follow her. She's awesome. And I'm totally zoning on her name. I think it's Joan. She's a bodybuilder. Her daughter's a bodybuilder. And she started lifting weights. Lifting weights is good for us ladies. Not that we need to become these incredible hulks or anything, or bigger and better than the guys. We just need to build our muscles, because by building our muscles, it helps us to regulate our hormones. It helps us to stay strong. It keeps our bones and our skeletal system strong, because our muscles are holding everything in place. And they're my heroes. They are my heroes because they are able to live a full life. They are taking good care of themselves. So that's something else I want to mention in all of this, is the more we care for ourselves and our bodies, the more able we are to embrace our dreams, regardless how wild they are. And, you know, not everybody's dreams are wild like ours. Your dreams, you know, maybe at a smaller scale, but don't down-regulate that or downgrade that or think less of yourself because your dream is less than somebody else's. It's a dream. Make it happen. Who cares? Who cares? Comparison is the enemy. Say that right there. Comparison is the enemy. But keeping ourselves healthy is important. So moving forward here, you guys are going to see a really good mix of health and wellness and education on the Faith-Led Healing podcast, and you are going to see real life on Mountain Woman Radio. And Carol asked if we will be videoing. Yes, we will be videoing our journey from here to there and everything and in between. And but we will continue to grow and share all of this. My practice is, the game plan is to keep my practice running up there and be able to, like I said, do my breathwork sessions in the middle of the 60-plus acre lake in front of my cabin. Laura says baking is a getaway to weightlifting. Those 25-pound bags are a great start. Absolutely, absolutely. Bringing in firewood, all that good stuff. Yes. So Keith says, great. I will send you the plans for a lure I developed that will attract meat eaters. That would be awesome. I know my husband would be very excited to receive that. So thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And I miss chatting with you, sir. You have to know that. Life has gotten really crazy busy for us. Miss Carol says, I have to go, guys, but so nice to see you. We'll catch you guys soon. Love and prayers for all in Austin Mountain Man and the fur balls. Love you, girl. I've got to jump off of here, too, because we are going into breath work. So I'm going to say a prayer for all of us, YouTube and my special access community here. Let's just lift this in prayer. Papa, I just thank you for this day. I thank you for your love, your mercy, your grace, your hand in our lives. I want to praise you for Jason asking me that question, because it really took me down a trail of a lot of deep thought, a lot of realization of how far we've come, how much our personal views on life can affect those around us. And just for the fire inside that you have implanted in my family to really embrace life wholeheartedly, and to love the life we live, and to love what we do. So I thank you for Jason and the question that he asked. And I thank you for each of these individuals here. And I ask that you just wrap your loving arms around us and remove the things that aren't necessary, the negative voices, the fears, the inability to see our worth, I'm not sure what the word would be, but just inability to embrace our dreams or to see our dreams come to fruition. I ask that you just, for those that are out there that are dreaming and envisioning things, join them, hold their hand, give them the courage and the strength and the abilities to see your hand, to feel your presence, and to know that they're walking in your will. And Papa, just guide them and direct them and provide for their needs, provide for their desires, and just help them to enjoy life at its fullest, to embrace what's ahead of them, and to get closer to you through the process. And I think that that's something that I didn't mention that is very vital, is that through you, we have the courage and the strength and the abilities to do these things. It's not on our own. So I praise you and thank you for that too. And I just ask that you keep your hand of protection over all of us. Help us to see and hear your voice over the noise of the world. Help us to disengage from the world and set it aside and be able to follow you. May we pick up our cross. May we pick up our cross. Papa, just be with all those that are in need of healing and nurturing mentally, emotionally, physically. Just wrap your loving arms around them. And Papa, just be with our community, be with all the prayer requests, and just nurture everyone's needs, provide for them. Thank you for the space to share your word and your beauty and grace. And Papa, just guide and direct our paths, guide and direct our steps. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for bringing us all together that we can gather and we know that you're in the center of it and that we can support one another on this journey called life. Thank you for all you do and all you're going to do. We praise you now. We praise you tomorrow. We love you and ask all this in your holy and precious name of Jesus. Okay. I love you all. And that was a really good thought that I had while praying, and that is that, you know, what we do in our family and in our life is not our own power. It is through him. It is through the courage and the strength and the vitality and all of that he gives us. So, you know, pull into him, because the more you pull into him, the more you're going to have what I have, and the more you're going to be able to do what I do in your own sweet way, in your peculiar way. So enjoy the rest of your day. And all of you out there on YouTube, thanks for joining. I really appreciate your presence here today, and you always joining us. Get ready for a wild ride. I think the doors are opening. And let me know. I'd love your feedback on the podcast and Austin and I doing that together. So ladies, I love you too in my special access here. You guys are treasured. And I look forward to joining you in a few minutes in breathwork right back at you. Love you guys, all of you. This is going to be interesting trying to get all you off at one time here and ending the session. I love you. See you soon. God bless. All right, one down, two more to go. Love you guys. Take care.